Hi there. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, responding to Israel's war with Gaza following the terror attacks of October 7.
It is important to also recognize the attacks by Hamas did not happen in a vacuum. The Palestinian people have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. They have seen their land steadily devoured by settlements and plagued by violence, their economy stifled, their people displaced, and their homes demolished. Their hopes for a political solution to their plight have been vanishing. But the grievances of the Palestinian people cannot justify the appalling attacks by Hamas, and those appalling attacks cannot justify the collective punishment of the Palestinian people.
Yet, what is the United Nations doing about it? Precisely nothing. Again, its purpose riddled with problems. The Wall Street Journal gave Mr. Guterres both barrels. It said in an editorial, "In the ever-expanding hall of shame for propagators of global disorder, prepare a special pedestal for UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. His disgraceful remarks to the Security Council are an example of why the UN can't be counted on to keep the peace anywhere." It went on to say Mr. Guterres' comments amount to nothing less than apologia for Hamas terrorists, despite a few thin caveats. It also went on to outline some important pieces of history that perhaps the Secretary-General has forgotten. That a UN resolution passed in 1947 recommended the partition plan for Palestine that led to the creation of Israel the following year. Also, for decades, the UN, under the auspices of the UN Relief and Works Agency, which is exclusive for Palestinians, has discouraged permanent resettlement by refugees and runs schools that teach children Israeli territory belongs to them. Always important to draw a line between Hamas and Palestinians, as the great majority of Palestinians are not connected to Hamas. And Guterres did at least acknowledge Hamas is using civilians as human shields.
The protection of civilians is paramount in any armed conflict. Protecting civilians can never mean using them as human shields.
Nothing summed up the dysfunction and, frankly, impotency of the UN quite like last week. Bearing in mind a humanitarian crisis is building in the world's most densely packed strip of land. The UN Security Council met to find a circuit breaker. A United States resolution called for a humanitarian pause to allow aid access, the protection of civilians, as well as a stop to arming Hamas. Russia and China vetoed it. Russia then put up some rival text, which called for a humanitarian ceasefire but avoided condemning Hamas and its October 7 atrocities. It, too, failed. The chamber deadlocked over the conflict, as the Security Council always seems to be. Why? Well, I've spoken here before on the shambles that is often the UN. Remember, there are 5 permanent members of the Security Council: the US, UK, China, Russia and France. All have veto power, which means any resolution or decision can be blocked. With so many competing interests at stake, that's always going to happen, basically rendering the Council useless. Humanitarian aid is trickling into the Gaza Strip, but there will be no ceasefire for a while as Israel begins its ground invasion. I spoke to opposition leader Yair Lapid about it.
There is a possibility there won't be a ceasefire for months. What we are trying to do is we are trying to push the people of Gaza, who are not part of Hamas, to the southern part of Gaza, in which there is no battles. The problem we have with it, we've done something no army in the history of wars has done. We have announced everybody where is it that we're going to go and when are we going to go there, because we wanted to make sure that the population of Gaza, the people of Gaza, has an opportunity to flee the area. Hamas is shooting at them while they're doing this because they want to use them as human shields. So it's going to be complicated.
There are many great things the UN and its tireless staff do to delivering help to countries all around the world that need it. But at a political level, it is a blunt instrument. As this war in the Middle East continues and threatens to spill across other borders with a myriad of other potentially disastrous consequences, don't expect the United Nations talk fests to do anything about it. Thanks for watching. To support this channel, please like, share and subscribe below. See you next week.